This is the ultimate question. What phone should I buy today? Not everyone has $1,000 to spend on a phone, but at $500 or less, this is not too terrible. Since Apple still sells this phone, the price is still kind of up there, but they do sell these phones new for $600. But is it worth it? Should you buy the iPhone XR in 2020? Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review. Check out the social media listed above in the description for some extras. Alright, let's review the cheap iPhone X, or is it a cheap iPhone XS? I hate this name. Simply, I don't like it. The biggest issue with this screen is that it's an LCD screen, so it looks a little bit awkward to me. The screen resolution is 1792 by 828, which sounds awkward, but this allows Apple to achieve the low 328 pixels per inch that the iPhone 4 came with, making it a Retina display. Apple calls this one a liquid Retina display because liquid is what the L in LCD stands for. It is a somewhat bright screen at 625 nits, but that doesn't make the image look better. I'm not sure how, but to me the iPhone 7 had a better looking screen than this phone. Again, I don't know how. The screen has a ratio of 19.5 by 9, which isn't too bad, but it brings gray bars when watching videos. Nope, they're not black, they're gray. The thing I do like about this screen is that it's 6.1 inches, and the phone fits nicely into my hands. If only Apple was able to make an OLED version of this phone, I could finally get rid of my iPhone X. The screen isn't terrible for the price, really, but when you compare it to any other iPhone that Apple sells, you start to realize that the screen is not acceptable in 2020. With this said, the phone is a cheaper model, so it makes sense why they went with an LCD over the slightly more expensive OLED display in the iPhone X, XS, and 11 Pro models. The battery life is alright. Just so you know, this phone I tested is about 3 months old, so the battery is fairly new. It is better than phones like the iPhone X and even the iPhone XS, but I don't think it's the battery king like everyone talked about when it was released. Still, getting over 3 hours of screen on time is pretty easy to do, and it's a good thing to do. But watching videos and playing games destroys the battery on this phone when you have the screen on full brightness like I always do. I also noticed that the phone heats up pretty quickly, which doesn't help with the battery. Still, not a terrible battery for the size of 2,942 milliamps, which is weird that it's very specific, but whatever. But it won't get you through 2 days of medium usage. With this said, you shouldn't have to worry too much about getting through a full day, so that's pretty good. There are some Android phones out there that will give you better battery life, but as far as I know, the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro Max are the only phones that will actually give you better battery life than this iPhone XR. This is a weird one because there is only one camera on the back and there's two on the front. Sure, the two front cameras are really just used for portrait mode and Face ID, giving you only one camera that you can actually use for images and videos, but still. This 7 megapixel camera is decent, does not focus, but it shoots 1080p at 60 frames per second. Pretty cool. As for the back camera, it is a little strange. This 12 megapixel sensor captures amazing images as well as giving you video recording at 4K 60 frames per second, which is always nice. The sensor is optically stabilized, but not so much when you're capturing 60 frames per second video. The other weird thing is the fact that the phone needs to see a face when you're trying to do portrait mode, while dual or triple camera iPhones can do it with practically anything. I thought they changed this with iOS 13, but that's not the case. Night shots are alright, but they could do better. I wish they had night mode on this phone, but apparently it's not a software feature, like every other phone that's ever been created. I don't know. Apple needs to explain that. But the main thing about this camera is that you get the same base camera that the iPhone XS and XS Max came with, so you get the same quality at a cheaper price. That's pretty good. Why does this phone exist? Well, there's two ways we can talk about that. Here's one way. This phone exists because Apple needs a cheaper phone because, like I said at the beginning of this video, not everyone has $1,000 to spend on a phone. The nice thing is that you only lose a few things for that $300 MSRP price drop. Wait, that price is actually now $400. When compared to the iPhone XS, you get a bigger screen but a much lower quality display. The metal frame is aluminum now, not stainless steel. You get a single camera on the back and you lose 3D touch, and that's about it. You get the same A12 Bionic processor, same memory sizes, except it maxes out at 256 gigabytes instead of 512. You still get a premium design on the outside, wireless charging, and so on and so on. That's one way to answer why this phone exists. Now the other answer is my personal question. Why does this phone exist? Sure, my iPhone X is a little bit slower, smaller, and technically an older phone, but in my eyes, it's so much better. The cameras are just as capable, if not technically a little bit better, and Geekbench is showing an 8 to 13% performance increase on the processor from the iPhone X to the iPhone XR. Clearly, the iPhone XR has to be better than the iPhone X, and it is, but in the used market, I would take the iPhone X over the iPhone XR because the screen is just that bad to me. It's awkward that Apple still sells this phone because that means that the used market price for this phone is always going to stay high until Apple stops selling it. But Apple knows this, and they will keep selling this phone to make sure that the used market doesn't kill their iPhone 11 sales. They're definitely stuck for now. So should you buy this phone in 2020? Maybe. To me, this is not a replacement for a flagship phone, but to the average person, this is a perfect phone that does everything that you will want to do. If you have something like an iPhone X, then the iPhone XS or 11 Pro might be a better option, but if you don't care about the screen, this will be a good upgrade. Either this or the iPhone 11. I like the design, but the screen really does kill it for me. But just like every iPhone that gets released, this is a well-rounded phone, and the sales prove that Apple truly did a good job on this phone. It also proves that people don't really care about the difference between LCD and OLED. And that's all I wanted to talk about. Thanks for watching my review of the iPhone XR, the colorful, cheap iPhone. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section or message me on Twitter. I get bored over there. Also, check out the other social media listed above. Subscribe and hit that bell button if you like the channel and want to see more videos. And if you've made it this far, thank you. That's all. Thanks for watching.